Gal, what you here to say, brother?
It's a good point. Let's not make it seem like going away to Atlanta, to Italy, first game of the Champions League. Oh my God, we dropped points. It's the first game. Like there's 7 more games. There's a long way to go. It's a long competition. Nobody's losing their head. Everyone's calm. Everyone understands that, right? Now there is warning signs of things that could be problems down the line, and there's also positives. Positives being David Raya is actually an elite keeper. And people need to start putting respect on his name. And I would take it to the level to say what he did today is world class-esque. That is what world class keepers do. Save your ass when your attack is not looking great, when your midfielders make a mistake and give away a penalty. And as an Arsenal fan, I'm happy to say that, you know what, I look at my goalkeeper and for God's sakes, they can save a penalty. I don't have to worry about it being guaranteed a point the moment we go points drop, the moment we get to penalties. Next, William Saliba, the defense standing tall. You love to see them celebrate after that penalty was saved, but there's concerns on the attacking end. Martinelli, please, you're making the right runs. You're getting in the right positions. That in itself is positive, but you just need to finish your dinner. And it's sometimes it's so simple. It's just stop trying to go for top corners and just drive the ball low across the box or in the corners, or just his decision making is coming down to him trying to score, guarantee the goal rather than just guarantee the shot on target. And sometimes you just need to guarantee the shot on target from wherever you are and stop focusing on trying to score the spectacular goal. He's trying to score it in the top corner from the position he was in. You know what? Maybe you can, but if you just shot it low and hard across the either across the box when you're on the left-hand side early in the game, and when you're close to the keeper, just slot it in front of you instead of lacing it, he would have scored. And those kind of decisions are things that are going to hurt him down the line. We have Raheem Sterling now. We have Trossard. Martinelli has a lot of pressure on him to perform when he plays, and he's not been performing. Also, Thomas Partey, you give away penalties, fair enough, but we need to figure out what we're going to do with the midfield. Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and Havertz did not work creatively today. We did not create enough. We also, in the last game, without Rice, we did not hold on to the possession well enough. Without Martin Odegaard, we are finding slight issues, and it's only the second game without Martin Odegaard. The longer we play without him, we're going to start to get used to not having him around and figuring out other ways to create. Give Ethan a chance. Play him. In the next game, I don't want to see a situation where we're giving away the ball a lot. I want Jorginho on the pitch. Even though he's not going to be the fastest recovery pace, I think Jorginho gives us more ability to hold on to the ball and to play the defensive type of football that we play. And overall, guys, it's the first game of the Champions League. It was kind of boring. I remember this happening last season also sometimes. It's going to get more exciting. You're not going to always have entertaining games. It's a long season. Get used to it. And the way that we play defensive football, if you guys are not going to get used to it now, I don't know what to say to you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you think Arteta doesn't play? What's his name? Ethan.
I think he wants to ease him in. I don't think he just wants to throw him in a baptism of fire.
You think he'll put him in the hole? Do you think
this is also it's the first game of the Champions League. It's the first game of the Champions League. Declan Rice just came back from a suspension. Arteta's still trying to figure out what the midfield is going to be for the next game. I don't know if he's going to even start Ethan versus Man City. So maybe he just wants to start.
He won't.
Yeah. So my point exactly. He was. These 3 games are tough. He's going to start him against
in
the League Cup. He's going to play him in the League Cup and ease him in. Same thing with Sterling. Why didn't he play Sterling today? Sterling could have played over Martinelli. He wants to ease him in also. So you can call it excuses if you want, but the reality is
No, but it's not excuses.
I don't think
I'm going to challenge this.
People keep mentioning Ethan Nwaneri, and this is not the first time. This has happened like already 30 times this season. Guys, he's a child. He's 17. We cannot say start Ethan Nwaneri because he had 3 good touches versus Spurs. Everyone need to chill. The next game is the first Champions League game away in Bergamo. The next game is away in Man City. If you want Ethan Nwaneri to become a part of this Arsenal system, you first have to play him in the Carabao Cup for 90 minutes, and then play him another 30 in the Prem, and then play him 15. Same way when Pep Guardiola, he plays a lot of youngsters, but he eases Rico Lewis in, and he eases this guy in and that guy. It's not a matter of just throw them in. And that's why, by the way, I agree completely with what Igal said, because Brandon's point, in my opinion, with all due respect, Brandon, is completely wrong. Defensive football is the most sustainable football to begin with. In terms of if the word is sustainability, can Arsenal do this again 100 times? The answer is yes, they can, because Arsenal can defend again 100 times very well. And because you know what it is, Brandon? We've seen it minimum over the last 6 months of last season towards the end. Forget the start where Havertz was playing in midfield. The 6 months after that, January till May, and the start of the season proves that Arsenal do have the best defense in the Premier League. You could even say in Europe, to be honest with you, but they're just not accomplished.
So let me rebuttal this real quick, and this is why I asked this.
About us playing. This is where my point gets misconstrued. It's not about us playing defensive.
You're talking about chance
I
creation.
even said myself. I even said myself for Sam, right? The ball are one of the best, if not the best, in the world. However, when I say unsustainable, how many times can we expect our goalkeeper to pull off fantastic saves to keep us in the game and to win us points? That's where it becomes unsustainable. Constantly relying on him to pull off fantastic saves.
Every game.
You should literally.
By the way, he only made
expect this from him every game. One second, Steve. You should literally expect this from him every game. You're asking that, by the way, that question to the wrong person. Because Sam right there will tell you that Klopp himself made a living for 9 years by having one goalkeeper and one center back that are amazing at doing that Superman job, which is saving them in one-on-one situations all the time. Literally, Liverpool, Sam, I'm pretty sure, could tell you about so many instances where if Alisson wasn't in goal,
Alisson saved 7 one-on-one.
Wouldn't have won certain trophies.
7.
This guy, by the way, go look at his stats. This guy is one of the few goalkeepers that every season ends up with a positive goals prevented, which basically means on his own he wins his team about 6 to 9 points every season. Wow. That's how good he is. So when if Raya could do that, I don't think he's as good as Alisson, but if he could do that, then I mean you do pay him at the end of the day to do his job, which is shot stopping. So if it's 1 or 2 saves, he's expected to do that. But before we move on, I want to go back real quick to the Ethan Rooney point that I was trying to make. The reason I asked you that, Igal, is that number one, Arteta does not have history of playing youth, so that's an issue. I don't think this is just this player in isolation. I think he's proven. I know I think that's. Look like you want to answer. Just let me finish, and I'm gonna let you rebuttal. I don't think he's shown us that he doesn't have a history where he trusts youth. Now, Hussam said Pep Guardiola takes his time to play and bring youngsters into the team. That is absolutely correct. However, this is not an ideal situation. You have too many injuries to start the season. We haven't seen Moreno, but I'm assuming Moreno probably would have been the backup if Odegaard played. I don't know how good he would do. I just know that he would be the replacement. The fact that the manager has showed me that he will move pieces around, aka put Havertz in the midfield, instead of saying, you know what, we're desperate for a few games until I get some of my players back. Let me put the most like for like replacement, which is this youngster. Because there is a say that as much as pisses off people, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And we've seen it throughout teams in Europe, Barcelona, even us, Man United, we've seen it with Mano. There has been a lot of examples where kids stepped up to the plate when the situation was not ideal, but it still worked until they got some of their players back. And I think that is one worry you should have about Arteta. I don't think he trusts his youth enough. And this is probably going to be something that sticks with him throughout his career.
I don't think it's warranted to say this.
Very quick. I need to get through the super chat for the end of the show. So yes, go on, mate.
Okay. I just don't think this discussion is necessarily acclimatized to this game or the next game. He's in a situation where last season we were in a title race. We needed to win every single game. You couldn't just bled in youth in that moment in time. Where he could take advantage of that is the cup competitions and early with the injuries now. Going forward, we're going to be able to test him. But in the past, he didn't have the luxury. And let's be honest, some of the senior players we had weren't even getting opportunities because they weren't performing. But Arteta has bled in youth. He gave Saka an opportunity to be a mainstay in the team. Trusted.
No, Saka was there before. ESR was there before. Let's not do this.
I'm not saying he brought them in. I'm saying he went full youth by trusting Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka to be the mainstays of the squad and built his whole team around them. So let's not say he doesn't trust youth when he literally got this Arsenal rebuild started off by trusting 2 youngsters.
That's a good point.
I'm going to go through these super chats here. First one says, can we please have an honest discussion on... Oh, sorry, we already did that discussion, so sorry. Besides the 2 misses, Martinelli did not play badly. It's getting weird how people want to blame him when everything doesn't go Arsenal's way. Do you know what, Brian, though? I think, it's really fun. We've had this conversation a lot on the terrace, and people say things like, But what's a player doing if he isn't scoring and assisting? And I think there's a certain level of time that you can apply that. But you've got to. I mean, he had chances tonight that he should be at least hitting the target on, and Arsenal have got to demand more. Man Cheaty fans begging for validation in the super chats. Here is so hilarious. Small club, plastic club, 115 FC. Can we talk about Arsenal's horrific away record in the Champions League? I think we've already touched on it, Eddie, throughout the course of the show, to be fair to you. And that's also why, again, maybe I'm being harsh here because Arsenal fans want better. But I'm seeing some reaction from Arsenal fans like they're shocked. And it's almost like, well, it's not as though this is, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh.
They don't respect Atlanta, that's why.
Well, they should do. You should be expecting Atlanta. These guys talk about winning the Champions League. Deluded bunch can't be top. But equally, I can understand why Brandon's annoyed because he wants to improve on these games because they want. And that's why I said it earlier right at the start, even though people won't admit I said this. The finishing has to get better away from home because these away results have got to improve if you've got any chance of ever winning the Champions League. Fans compare Arteta to Pulisic and Allardyce, but these guys' teams let in lots of goals. Listen, they're not playing like Pulisic or Allardyce. And listen, what you're being Arsenal fans are being goaded because there's pragmatism in their team. I wouldn't fall for it personally. There's only 5 games into the season when Yeri will get his chance. Bolton will be the next chime. And when he does, if it goes wrong, don't have a head loss. Great defense, but Arsenal have been poor in attack all season. Arsenal fans should genuinely be concerned. Terry, you spelled invincible wrong. Okay, I think it's been amended by someone else now. But thank you very much. Hey, Terry, Arsenal fan here from Atlanta. I've been watching for a few years now and finally decided to join. Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate it. Same name as my son. Brilliant name. Love the channel. How do we solve the creative issues without Odegaard? I think a lot of suggestions have been given tonight on the show. But for me, I think it's almost about not the element of this is mentality as well. Not feeling sorry for yourself, moving the ball a little bit quicker, encouraging your Sakas, your Martinellis, your Trossards, Sterlings to run at their fullbacks and take them on a little bit more. That's disappointed me in recent games from Arsenal where you've got the speed and the skill, but you're not utilizing it. So you've got to find a different way to skin the cat. English teams against Italian teams always struggle. Why? Styles make fights, my friend. That'll play a big part of that. That's a good result, but they are not a good team. And how many teams will win every game? And Gabby has been very good coming back. The end product will, Gabriel Martinez, I think. End product will come good. He's got to come good, though. He's got to improve. Fans with short memories. Odegaard was their start of last season, and we had the same issues. We got 3 away games in a week, and it won't be amazing to watch. Once January comes, teams couldn't leave the box versus us. It's true. I remember this time last year struggling to score goals, and Odegaard was fit and playing. So again, it's very important to remember the history of those things. Tell Martinelli not to shoot and to create either cross or cut back to chances. His GA will go up. Marco here says Staffy, Barcelona and AC Milan also has heritage in the Champions League.
I wasn't just mentioning heritage. To be fair, I should have mentioned City. I forgot to say City because City can easily win any game. But
yes.
AC Milan in 2024, brother, come on.
Yeah, even Barca in 2024. You've got to remember, Man United, who have been awful the last 2 years, outclassed them over 2 legs in Europe. I mean, that's
Barca's undefeated in the league right now.
Yeah, you can make an argument for Barca right now, but AC Milan, bro, we have the footage.
Remember, Half Hope came on to Terrace after 3 games and said they're going to win the league. I call them crazy.
Yeah, but Have Hope also thinks that Hazard and Messi are only this far apart in terms of ability and delivery. So we've got to remember that. The Arsenal panelists are just flip-flops. This week, they are extremely good, and next week, we are so bad. There is never a middle ground with you guys. What do you make of that, Nathan?
Balanced.
What do you make of that, Nathan? Do you think that there's a lack of balance from Arsenal fans on the panel?
Sometimes, yeah, there can be. Sometimes it can be, we can be over the moon when everything goes right, and then when things go wrong, it's doom and gloom. I mean, with Brandon's point earlier about Raya saving us all the time, I think he doesn't also take into perspective that because we're such a defensively strong team and the games are tight, it seems like his 1 save or 2 saves, because we haven't scored 3 or 4 goals, hold more weight. But the reality is that when Alisson does it, when all these big keepers do it for, you know, big teams. When we grew up on the likes of Seaman, when you see Van der Sar do it for United, you as a rival fan, you respect it and rate it. And then when we're calling for it all season, I mean, one of the big criticisms I had for Raya this season was the fact that, or criticisms coming into the season, was I wanted to see more from him. I didn't feel like he saved us in games. I didn't feel like he was integral to any wins. Bar the Porto game, I wanted him to be a player that won us games. And now that he's doing it, you got fans, you know, going the other way and be like, oh, I don't want him to win us games. So what is it? Do you want to have a keeper who can win you games, or do you want to have a keeper who doesn't win you games? You can't have your cake and eat it.
I do feel like a United fan on the outside looking in. I do feel like Arsenal fans are complaining over first world problems. This is how I feel. Like this looks really interesting about it. Watching it, and I'm like, oh, you know what, you guys looked. I do think you guys look almost unbeatable at the moment, without even being that good up front.
Terry, you're watching it. You're watching that, but you're watching from the perspective of somebody who isn't emotionally invested. That's
I agree. I agree. I totally get it. But sometimes when you're emotionally involved, you're also not that logical either. As I say, if you watch, people go, listen, I love Brandon. He's always welcome on the terrace. Go back and watch Brandon's match reaction Sunday compared to the way it was then. It's like two different human beings, but the performances are almost identical. It's just the results are different. And I love that. But I love that about football fans. It's why we do this. That's why I do.
By the way, on Raya, real quick, Terry, I'm gonna take like 5 seconds. He actually added an element that he didn't. I don't think he had it last season. And Sad, I streamed with you a lot during last season. You remember how I used to say he was overrated because I didn't think he had the same reflexes. I feel like he has everything that he was doing last season, and now he's showing that he could be that goalkeeper that can make like last minute saves that you didn't expect. You know what I'm saying? And that's actually a positive because you look at him and you're like, actually, he's improving on last year. Last year he wouldn't make some of these saves, so you should be actually happy about it.
I agree.
We just need everyone else to improve.
Yeah,
you had Rams though watching pigeons for 90 minutes. Should be great.
Erin here says they nearly lost today. I mean, you could make that argument because they had the penalty that was saved. Yes, but again, the reason why I think that is an exaggeration is yes, they nearly lost today. But go back to Arsenal's actual invincible season. There was a number of games they nearly lost. Go back to City last season. There's a number of games they could have lost, but they didn't. And I just don't see why we're suddenly assessing Arsenal differently from other top teams now and in the past. I think that is wrong.